Hey, how have you been, guys? I'm Paradoxic, and welcome back to Supergirl. This time we're on season 4, episode 12, titled Menagerie. Menagerie? I think it's Menagerie. But yeah, episode 12, Menagerie. Last episode was Blood Memory, and it was a pretty great episode. It was an episode I enjoyed a lot, and it was rather more of a Nia-centric episode. Like, we had Kara taking Nia back to her hometown of Parthis to celebrate like a harvest they had, and to actually just like a chance to actually see her family again after she had actually moved to National City. And we saw like more of her powers manifesting, and like got a little bit more background to her, to like her character and her powers overall. And we found out that her mother was actually from the planet Noltur, and she was the one, like her mother had a dream about actually meeting someone, I think, in a barn, and like having that kind of true love type thing going on. So she hit some coordinates into her pod and crashed onto Earth, and then the family that found she was found by a family where she crashed on Earth, and their son was who she ended up falling in love with. So it was pretty much destiny and all that. And she had a sister called Maeve, and it was out. I think it was out of the two of them, like who would actually who would actually receive. I think it was one out of the two of them that were actually supposed to receive the Dreamer powers that her mother originally had, and Nia was the one who ended up with them. And you would think that is a very kind of like valid kind of reassurance of Nia's womanhood and her identity. But Maeve, out of anger, I'm sure, but Maeve didn't really think that much, and she kind of whipped out a rather transphobic comment in her kind of spur of anger and kind of upset, because she had been led to believe that the powers were still coming, and that she just had to wait, and she was the one who actually trained herself and studied to actually understand the actual strength of the powers and what dreams, what the dream language meant and how to interpret dreams, whereas Nia couldn't really do that, and she didn't really approach that kind of ability the same way that her sister did. So she didn't even think that she deserved those powers because she didn't work for them. But her actually getting those powers was proof that she was just as much of a good and worthy candidate of the powers as her sister was. But her mother unfortunately did die as a result of her being unable to interpret those dreams, because she had two dreams, I believe. One where her mother actually drank some kind of inky fluid and then just turned to dust, and then another one where she was killed by spiders or something like that, and then in real life she was bitten by a spider which then crawled out from under her dress, and then she died to that poison, I would assume. But then Nia didn't really interpret that dream to mean that properly, so she thought, just getting rid of the fluid in the glass that she saw would probably be the key to that. But no, there was more and more symbolism to it that she didn't really see, which just led to her feeling even more guilty and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it was just a kind of an episode of hardship for Nia, and on the car ride there, we had an amazing moment of her coming out to Kara as trans, and what her life was like growing up in Parthis, which then kind of got mirrored by, at the end of the episode, Kara coming out to her as Supergirl, because I think a lot of people kind of wondered why they would have Kara coming out to Nia as opposed to Lena, who she's known for a couple of years now. And I think I myself figured it was because I agreed with what a lot of people were saying, that the fact that with Lena it's much more likely to put her in danger as opposed to Nia, and with Nia it's it wasn't just a pick and choose kind of thing. She wasn't showing any kind of favoritism, but it was more because she saw Nia in a dark place and going through somewhat similar struggles as to what Kara was going through. So, and especially since she has these powers as well, and she has the potential to be a hero, it's more of a thing coming out to her as Supergirl is her offering her guidance and some kind of light in the darkness that she's in right now. And we saw at the end Brainy, I think it was a couple of episodes before, or one episode before, that Brainy kind of accidentally invited her out on a date, when really he was just giving her a binder of all the suit ideas and names that he had actually come up with, and Nia was looking through them in that episode. And now at the end of the last episode we saw that she finally opened up a box and her new suit was there. she's becoming Dreamer, the first trans hero. Just I find gold at that point. But yeah, so this episode is presumably when we'll be seeing her finally suiting up and kicking some serious ass alongside Supergirl, and I am just shaking thinking about that. But you know, it's been worth the wait. It's very much been worth the wait. But I am looking forward to many more kind of ups for Nia than downs. She's had enough downs in her life. She has had plenty of downs in her life. Now it's time to give her some very, very high and positive ups in her life. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing Nia just shine as the star that she's meant to be from now on. But yeah, that was that. And we had Alex on the National City side kind of investigating a street drug that was going around that was I think it was because something happened to the Russian Kara. Like there was like an outburst of from what I remember, there was like an outburst of energy from the Russian Kara that kind of spread out, I think presumably all over the world, but then it like the point that mattered to us was it reaching National City, and it hit like a tray full of drugs and just enhanced them and modified them and essentially mutated them, and it turned like whoever took it into a kind of rage empowered kind of alien and stuff. So the kids that were selling it, I think they got turned, and like the kids the people that they sold it to, I think a couple of them got turned and some of them got just beaten up and stuff like that. And then one of the kids who was kind of like emotionally kind of tormented, who'd been emotionally tormented her entire life, took it as like a sign of revenge because her friends and I think her brother were beaten up by agents of Liberty who had then taken the drugs, and I don't think they took the drugs, but like they were headed to Parthas anyway because of like the whole alien and like human kind of coexistence thing going on. So they were going there for an attack anyway, and she drove over to get some revenge, and stuff went down, and we saw like more of how the after effects of the ending of episode 10, Suspicious Minds, actually played into this, because as we all know, Jean was forced to wipe the minds, or at least remove the information of Kara being Supergirl from several agents of the DEO, including that of Alex, so that, you know, even if Haley did continue her investigation, which we saw she did with her little truth serum style alien, they would the information would never be found out. They would never actually get their hands on it. And you know, as we've known from these past 4 seasons, Alex knowing that Kara is Supergirl and having the information in her head, it's been a pretty big part of their bond, and it's been a pretty big influence on their relationship. And you know, again, as we know, Kara being Alex was one of the reasons that Kara became Supergirl in the first place. She was one of the first people she ever saved using her powers, and taking that away, it took away a big bond, a big part of the bond that Kara and Alex had, and she forgot some information at game night, and dealing with Kara became much more of a professional thing, where she had no kind of sentimental kind of connection with Kara, which Kara saw and very much got stung by at the end. So don't know how that stuff's going to evolve, or if she does feel like something's off. She does feel like she said to Jean she feels like something's missing, like she's forgetting something, and he kind of did a quick kind of scan and told her that everything was fine. So I don't know if she's gonna I don't know if he actually fully erased it or if he just repressed it. But I mean, if he actually erased it, that would rapidly pretty much diminish the chances of the alien actually finding that truth anyway. So I think an erasal is more plausible than like a repression. But yeah, I mean, she does still, I think, deep down, she does still know that something's off and something's not quite right. So I think it's only a matter of time before that information comes flooding back, or Kara has to come out to Alex again. So yeah, but that one was that. And I think besides from that, I think Lena and James, we had a bit of an update on that front, wherein they kind of broke that tension that they'd been having for the past couple of episodes due to the whole kind of the DA case and the Children of Liberty thing that James had going on. And Lena came forward about the experiments she'd been doing with the Harunel, and James said he'd support her. So I think they are pretty much on the way to mending their relationship again. I don't know how far they're gonna get, or if they're gonna like actually get back to properly good terms. But from what it looked like they were doing okay. But for a relationship, okay isn't really the best. Like, it needs to be good at the very least. But I'm sure we will see that happening at some point soon. But yeah, that is pretty much all I have. I think, was there anything else? I think Jean became, I think that was episode 10, but Jean became a PI, so I think we're going to see some interesting stuff coming up again on that front. But yeah, that is definitely all I have from this past episode. So episode 12, titled Menagerie. I don't know how to pronounce it. Let's just go, yeah? Damn. The classic alien crushing into the side of the road scene. Whoa, no, that's an alien snake. An alien snake. Okay, so proper ET style. Okay.
And I'd like to make myself clear, since I did not last time. I am not here for a date.
Happy Valentine's Day to you too.
I sense
why not?
Which I find have you ever considered putting your grief into tiny boxes?
No, the boxes does not.
That doesn't sound very helpful.
Yeah, the boxes does not work.
Be. Besides, then it would free you up to train and join mine and Supergirl's crime-fighting family.
Superheroes are humans too. They have emotional systems that need nurturing.
I'm just not ready to train right now. My roommate Yvette's having a Valentine's party tonight to try to cheer me up.
Come along.
You want to come?
Come along. Say yes. Say yes.
Actually, I would love to attend.
Good.
Great.
Brainia will happen, even if I have to die for it.
And whatever came out of it seems to have eaten this man's heart and nothing else.
Jesus. Ripped his heart straight out and gobbled that down.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Really, just for that pun?
It's like the
Just for that?
extracted his heart.
Well, now that you're here,
Oh, she got a bad text message, didn't she?
I took this in our
She got a bad
last
message.
morning at the lake house together.
Did someone reject your Valentines? Who are they? Just tell them to tell them their location. I just want to talk.
Just how I see you. We're away from everything else, and it's just you and I.
You drew her while she was sleeping?
Are you serious?
you ever know me to joke?
What's happening? What is all this? What's happening?
Offer spontaneous.
I hate Valentine's Day.
No, you don't.
2 minutes.
You love.
Today, Nia
You love
Nall
it.
invited me to attend a
There was an episode based around it with you and
Valentine's
Maggie.
party. She said it never occurred to me that someone as amazing as Nia Nall would be interested.
Brainy,
in me.
you gotta stop putting yourself down
I
like
guess
this.
The bigger question here is, but you should call Brainy. I'm sure he could help. He's great at multitasking.
Evidently.
She redirected me to Brooke.
Evidently so.
So much for my matchmaking skills.
Well,
Well, I am very much looking forward to their first proper date together.
Roberts because he's already back in
Brainy and Nia, that is, not Brainy and Alex.
I don't think this was a hate crime. I think he's having an affair.
Sounds like it.
Valentine's Day.
We still need to make sure he's safe.
He didn't return home because he spent the night.
We need to make the U.S. military as powerful as our alien adversaries.
You want to supercharge your soldiers with
That's not what I
Harunau.
had in mind when I started my research.
He wants you to become Agent Liberty?
Agent Liberty needs us to find this alien killer.
You
Let
have
us
got
the
to be
ones who
fucking
kill it
kidding
in his
me.
name. Then we can demand that he be set free.
He's making his son pose as Agent Liberty. Oh, just his one then. Okay. Oh, is it still here? No?
Wait, hold your fire. What are you two doing?
Shit.
Whoa! It's a hidden door.
That's a good find, don't you think, Alex? Nice work.
Should she not be wearing gloves before having
Looks like this could be
conveniently tapped it open?
acid or maybe even a... Is that music? Where are you?
I am at the party.
Oh, he's at the Valentine's party, getting danced on.
Haven't yet.
Okay, well, stay put. We're coming to you.
Hurry.
Oh, I would love to see Brainy dancing.
You said we.
How have you been, stranger? It's Becca. We had drinks.
Looks kind of like Sam, not gonna lie. She looks kind of like Sam.
Becca. Go, go.
catch up.
Yeah, they can look for Brainy. You play catch up with your love life.
Seems like she didn't need a winged woman.
So they're really doing this Paris thing, huh?
Not a moment too soon.
They're actually doing this Paris thing.
So what I need you to do is just look out for that opportunity and trust it.
You see, the fact that kids are so easily moldable and manipulatable can be a very big disadvantage, as seen there.
I don't think he's here.
I'm right here.
Are you hanging in the bathroom? No, the the closet.
What are you doing in the closet?
I just escaped.
Hiding his love for Nia, probably.
You're part of my family now.
A very big
All
part.
heroes are welcome.
You see, we lost a sisterhood between Alex and Kara, but we got a new one with Kara and Nia,
With all the stuff that's happening. Yeah. And your
which is
adoption.
blossoming very well so far.
That's your excuse for not calling.
Problem?
Whoa!
Pamela Fair's DNA was commingled with the alien venom we found. They were linked. With Valentine's Day, it must have been more preoccupied.
Damn,
than
that
we
was
thought,
some
because the
kung
only
fu
logical conclusion
kick.
is that snake.
The alien is a symbiote?
Yes. I am
So she's
98.9%
Venom at this point,
certain that
then.
She is the beast we're looking for.
Oh, and she's very much conscious, unfortunately.
Why would I fight it? This is the most powerful I have ever felt.
Fuck.
And I am not Pamela. We are Menagerie.
We are Menagerie, huh? God damn it! Oh, sweet Jesus. Run, Kara, run! Don't just fake a sneeze. That works just as well. She got bitten!
Oh, it's totally fine. She missed me.
She got bit! You got bit!
Hey, your safety is my #1 priority. Nothing comes before that.
Well, at least that hasn't changed.
I do feel a little
At least that still remains the same.
And us trying again was a mistake?
No. No. There's no mistakes. No. I love you. And you love me. But I also know you, and I know that you're better than this. I am never going to agree with you sharing your research with the government.
That means you're never going to be able to support her.
That could destroy us. So that's it then.
So, Paris is off.
It was always inevitable, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It pretty much was. It pretty much was.
Frank, stop the car.
So Paris is cancelled then, because I doubt she's gonna go on a one-way trip for love. Lena, what's wrong? Who's been messaging you? Who's been saying stuff? This is not the career path you need in life, George. You can do so much better. Oh, and just so much better than waving around a lightsaber machete. God damn. Then no one suspects a thing. No one suspects a thing. Oh, you know what? Maybe he just passed out from too much alcohol. Maybe he's just drunk on his ass.
Hey! Where are you going?
To kick some ass.
Your loss. Literally.
No, it's her strength. Oh, shit! Damn, girl!
That was amazing!
Yes!
Saw it in a dream.
Oh, she looks terrific.
Probably should have seen that too. Alex, could you
Oh, she looks amazing in the suit. And she's whipping up some hand-to-hand combat as well. I don't know if that's her own little pole or if she picked it up, but either way, it's cool. It's fucking great.
You unleash.
Nice suit.
Yeah, great
It
suit.
was my mother's. And you were right, you know.
That was her mother's suit? Wow.
You do realize you could have gotten yourself killed.
Absolutely.
That's part of the risk.
Yeah, there was
Great
there was
eyeshadow
a
as
lot
well.
that I should have seen coming.
I think that's eyeshadow.
Your powers give you the...
Whoa! You shouldn't have. But I'm glad you did.
Yeah, I'm just gonna look. It's Valentine's, so I'm gonna look past the bucket of diabetes that she's holding. So, yeah.
I got that girl from Nia's party's number for you.
Oh.
Becca.
Becca.
Hey.
That's her name.
She's been crying. Lena.
I'm in.
She's in For what? With who? What has been going on with you this episode?
Something. Manchester Black.
From Manchester Black? What for? What's he planning? Oh, and it's still there. Even if it's a small piece, it's still there. Still there. And that is the end of the episode. Okay. So this episode was a roller coaster ride of subplots and character arcs and shit. But it was also a very, very nicely themed Valentine's Day episode, which was great because I think the only time I think we get any kind of like themed like holiday themed episodes, like from what I'm aware of, are like Christmas, which is like Christmas episodes, which is when like the mid-season finales take place, and then Thanksgiving episodes. Like I think we've always had those, and especially with Supergirl, it's when Eliza shows up and does dinner for the whole family and everything. So this was nice to see a Valentine's Day themed episode. So we had a Valentine's monster for this one, which was Menagerie, the alien symbiote, which had a very, very kind of Venom-esque kind of appearance and stuff once it actually bonded to Pamela. I believe that was her name. But yeah, so that was Menagerie, and she's still in her. She's still inside it, even if it's just a small little slug-like thing crawling up her neck. It's still inside her, and now it seems like she's being recruited by Manchester Black for some odd purpose. But that was her. And I think the main kind of arc with this, like explored in this one, or one of the more prominent arcs, was the kind of the additional kind of strain being put on Kara and Alex's relationship. And this time, I think it was more interesting to watch because it was something that has very much been explored before, but this time it was less to do with the fact that Alex no longer knows Kara is Supergirl, and more to do with like what happened whilst Alex knew that Kara was Supergirl. And this is something we've seen explored quite well throughout the show's run, and it was the fact that, you know, like ever since Kara crashed onto Earth and she was adopted into the Danvers family, Alex's life took a very, very large kind of like a sharp turn into what seemed like not necessarily hell, but it just like she had a lot less control over her life and a lot less kind of space to actually like go for what she wanted, or even who she wanted. And you know, with that, it's like that's something that we saw happen very, very early on in their relationship, like since Kara had been adopted in, like from childhood essentially. And I think we saw it, like we've seen it referenced throughout like the present day episodes, but then especially in the Midvale episode we saw just how much tension there was between them when they were like teenagers, and like how that kind of evolved and blossomed. And it's always popped up here and there. It's like, but at the end of the day, now we see that like at the end of the day they are sisters and they are family and they love each other and they've always got each other's backs. So, you know, it's like as much as they started out kind of resenting and kind of just staying away from each other, they did eventually grow together and actually become one. So yeah, but I think we've seen that, you know, like when she was younger, like she was almost immediately tasked by Eliza to kind of be essentially be a babysitter for Kara, and to kind of always watch her back and, you know, watch what she does and who she talks to, and just essentially just make sure that she acts and is basically as human as possible in her new life, and that, you know, she doesn't really get into the wrong crowd or do anything suspicious or overly Kryptonian and stuff. And like, you know, like she essentially just had little to no control over her own life. She didn't have much of a life anymore. Like it was always her job to watch out for Kara. And, you know, because she was tasked with such a duty from a young age, young adult type age, it's like she like what she wanted, she felt didn't really matter as much, and like especially in the Midvale episode, she said, you know, like before Kara came along, she still had a dad, she still had a life, and now the only life she has is the one what is Kara's life, because she has to watch over it and make sure that Kara is safe and that her secret doesn't get out, and that she actually gets to fit in, whilst, you know, Alex struggles with maybe not fitting in, or maybe not actually like going for her own goals. And again, that all changed eventually, and they did kind of come to understand each other a lot better and become have a better bond between them. But you know, since then it's like she's had her own struggles, that, you know, like her own kind of human struggles, which were repressed because of the fact like that Kara was around and she had a much bigger secret to keep. So she felt like she had never she never had the space to kind of talk about her own stuff, or like talk about how she felt or whatever she was going through. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why her coming out as gay in season 2 was such a big deal, because she did talk about how she had like these thoughts and feelings for one of her friends when she was a teenager, but I think that was never like, I don't think that stuff was ever explored in the Midvale episode, or like if that was like a completely different point in time. But that kind of stuff, like, it was never brought up. Like she had never mentioned it when she was younger, and with this, like, you know, now she's an adult, she has much more, like, obviously Kara has grown to become more human in the way she lives, so like in that sense she has much more independence. But with Alex, like, she's been looking after her for so long that, you know, as Kara or a Supergirl, she still feels that sense of like kind of protectiveness, or the fact that, you know, she still has to watch over Kara, and, you know, like, not that she hates it or anything, like again, she's now come to care for Kara a lot more and like love her as a sister. So, you know, if anything, like, she herself deep down does know that, you know, she wants to protect her and wants to watch over her. But, you know, she did also make a good point of saying that, you know, because of everything that's been happening with, and again with stuff at the DEO, nowadays she has a lot less time or space to actually kind of like press play on her own life, and she's had it on pause for a long time. And it was expressed at the beginning of the season as well, like, you know, she had been dating, but she hadn't really found a woman she'd felt serious enough about yet. And it kind of makes me think that that's also because she hadn't really, like, she'd been dating maybe just to put herself out there and just to have that kind of time with someone, but she had never really had the time to actually she never really had the opportunity to take time to think about what she actually wants, like what kind of person she wants after everything went down with Maggie. Like, that was like a big kind of turning point in her life as well, like breaking up with Maggie, and like she took a lot of time to kind of mend herself back together from that. So she never, like, you know, even when going back out into the dating scene, she never really thought about what she wants in a person or what she wants to do. And, you know, the other goal that she's like wanted to focus on again is obviously the adoption, and actually being a mother, because, you know, she had such great chemistry and such a great time in season 3 with Ruby and with Sam as well. And again, yeah, like people said, like, Sam would have been like the great a great opportunity for Alex to actually explore a relationship again. And, you know, like the two of them got along great together, and it would have been amazing to see them get together, but it never really happened. But, you know, her time with Ruby was proof that she would make an amazing mother, and I think that gave her the confidence to believe that as well. So then we saw her putting together an adoption portfolio to actually apply for it, but she never got around to finishing it. But now I'm glad to see that she is actually going to take some time to figure out what she wants, and, you know, like actually going to get what she wants, and, you know, putting the time into her own personal life again, especially with Haley having come around to just check that she's doing everything, you know, like per policy, and, you know, like according to what her duty is, what's expected of her as director of the DEO. That means she has even more strain on her personal life. And, you know, like, knowing Haley, she's not exactly the kind of person to talk to about this kind of stuff. But yeah, so like with that, it's like this is once again the first time in a long time that she can actually focus on herself as well, because, you know, again, even outside of like being sisters with Kara, she very much has her own life that she needs to take care of. So I'm glad the writers are now giving her the opportunity to actually get back into that stuff as well. So, you know, hopefully I think we've still got some time left to go for this season. So hopefully by the end of it, we should see her maybe maybe meeting with an agency, or going to see a child about adoption, or just or even getting back together with Becca now she has her number. So getting back into some dates with her and maybe making something official. But obviously there's no need to rush it, because again, as much as she wants to get back into it, it's good still to take time with this now that she has the time. But yeah, I am looking forward to seeing her actually get some more light on her own life as well, and actually seeing Alex Danvers coming onto the screen as opposed to director Danvers. As badass as director Danvers is, Alex Danvers herself, even without her DEO suit and guns, she's pretty badass too. So it's time we saw more of that. But yes, that was that, and we had Kara working with Alex as well, which was fairly fun to see. And again, that as well, Kara being Kara out on the field as opposed to being Supergirl, that kind of put more strain on Alex as well, knowing that obviously not just knowing that Kara and Supergirl are two different people, but also the fact that knowing that Kara herself is very, very, to her knowledge anyway, she's very, very vulnerable to a lot of this stuff, and especially since it's aliens from outer space with enhanced abilities, any one of the agents alone could be are vulnerable to those kinds of attacks. So with Kara wearing her normal everyday clothes and stuff, no matter how many layers of it there are, she is just as invulnerable to those attacks, to Alex's knowledge. So that kind of played into it as well. But it was good to see. I think it was interesting to see how this dynamic played out as well, how reporter Kara and kind of Dio Alex Danvers kind of worked together, and them kind of exploring that dynamic is also Alex does the kind of more of the physical work, and Kara just gets together information to kind of raise awareness about this kind of stuff in the media. So that was an interesting dynamic to see explored. And what else? Brainy and Nia, that was fun to see in this one. That was very, very cool to see. I think I think Brainy definitely learned a lot from his little mess up on the dinner date, that he had a couple of episodes ago, and now he's kind of learned. I would say he's ever so slightly learned what Nia wants, but he himself, I think he did say he wants her to be his Valentine. That is a huge step up from the kind of the miscommunication that happened at the restaurant, but now he has. I think initially until the subject of Valentine's came up. Seriously, he pushed the decorations off the table just to put the suitcase on it. But until the mention of Valentine's came up, I think he was still very oblivious to the idea of Nia wanting more than just friendship with him. And he this is the second time he's mentioned it. He said, he didn't think anyone, at first it was at the restaurant when he said, I didn't think anyone as beautiful as you would want anything to do with me. And then at the DEO, he's he has learned that, she is more than just, how she appears on the outside. She is an interesting person on the inside with a very bubbly personality, and, someone who's just a great person overall. But now, even with that, he's I don't really think anyone as interesting as her would want anything to do with me. He keeps putting himself down, and I want to see someone pushing Brainy up, someone actually telling him, you got to stop putting yourself down. Actually, he's hilarious for one thing. He's a 12th level intellect, so you don't really have to mention his intelligence there, and he's brave, he's witty, he's courageous, he's loyal, he has great qualities about him, and it's time someone mentioned this to him, instead of Lena telling him, just put all your feelings in a box and get back to work. It's bad enough that Lena had to be raised with that kind of ideology that, now just leads her to have very unstable relationships with people, but now she's passing that kind of advice onto Brainy, and now he passed it on to Nia as well. And hats off to Nia for actually catching on to the fact that that's a very mentally unhealthy kind of routine to follow, just boxing up all your feelings and getting back to whatever it is you're doing. But, I'm glad she actually invited him to the Valentine's party, and I wanted to see Brainy dancing. We saw a bit of him waving his hands about like in a very, very uncoordinated manner, but I would have actually liked to see him dancing. He's a 12th level intellect, and you expect me to believe that he doesn't know how to dance. He's from the future, and you expect me to think he doesn't know how to dance. I'm pretty sure he could have busted out the worm or the robot, or assuming these guys are like up to date with like social media trends, like something like he started flossing, or maybe Orange Justice. I don't know. I didn't really want to have to mention Fortnite dances, but it just came up into my head, or even doing the Carlton, just finger snapping his way across the room. But I would have loved to see that. Because Yvette, I think Yvette is her name, like Nia's roommate. She was, dancing up into Brainy's space, so there's no reason he wouldn't have just started creating a crowd and just creating a trend and whatnot. But regardless, we will have that at some point. We will have that, even if it's not Brainy, just like a behind the scenes or a blooper of Jesse Rath himself dancing his ass off. I would love to see that. But I think even then, up until the mention of Valentine's came up, he was still oblivious to the fact that Nia was still very much in a period of mourning, which I'm glad they addressed, because again, with these kinds of shows and these kinds of episodes, I don't know what the exact kind of time gap is between the episodes. I assume it's maybe a day or two, or perhaps a week, because again, it's a new episode every week, so a week would make sense. And especially a loss like the one Nia faced would take quite a bit of time to get over, especially something so sudden, because it was never even hinted at that it was never a thing where her mother was ill or her mother had some kind of condition going on that would mean that her time is short, but it was rather it was from a dream that Nia just couldn't interpret and didn't really see that coming. She thought she solved it, but she didn't. And then getting bitten by the spider and everything like that happened. So it was very much something that Nia thought she had solved, but still didn't see coming, because she misinterpreted it and everything like that. So I'm glad that they actually addressed that she's not she's fine with the party going on, but she's not really in the mood for that kind of stuff, and she definitely wasn't in the mood until the end. She wasn't really in the mood to actually suit up and start doing superhero business, because she was still dealing with some personal issues of her own. But then at the end, she did suit up as Dreamer. And she looked magical in that suit, and I think I assume that little baton she had was actually part of the suit itself. It wasn't just some random kind of pole or pipe that she picked up off the ground and started hitting Menagerie with. I'm assuming that is a part of her get-up as a whole. So it's good that she has some semblance of hand-to-hand combat as well. She wasn't just flailing around. She actually did whack her in the head and then whack her to the side and everything like that. But honestly, that it looks so great to see her finally, representing the trans community as well, and actually doing her part for them. It's honestly just amazing as well, how far her character has come in such a, not a short span of time. We are over 10 episodes into the season now, so it's a fair enough amount of space for Nia to have actually met everyone in the group and actually blossom into this kind of development arc. But honestly, I just can't get over it. It was so good. It was so good. I think she said the suit was her mother's as well. I think I'm gonna go back and watch that as well, because I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it was because Brainy's from the future, so he said he knows everything about Nia's powers and everything about how she becomes Dreamer. So I don't know if he knew that her mother had a suit, because she was the former Dreamer and Nia is the successor. But I'm gonna go back and watch that part again. Yeah, she looks great. She looks great. But yeah, no, it is her mother. So I think perhaps Brainy did know that, but then he came up with ideas for the suit. But because she never actually got back to him about creating it. Maybe it was something that I think maybe it could have been something that even before her death, in case she knew something was coming because she was at like an old age anyway, or because, you know, she wanted to like get it to her before something did happen. So then maybe she dreamed her own. I mean, could a dreamer dream their own death? I don't know, because if she did and she knew that it was time, then she could have had it posted to Nia's national city address before it actually happened, and just, you know, meant for it to be a surprise. So then that would be her former suit, and, you know, obviously because she's destined to be Dreamer, Nia fits into it perfectly, and she kicks ass like a badass. But yeah, I am seriously just happy seeing her in that suit for the first time, and seeing her in such a spotlight, in such a positive manner as well. I think it was a short appearance, but it was a sweet appearance. So I'm gonna be, you know, looking forward to seeing the next episodes where she actually fights in the suit as well. And, you know, she did at the end, she did say to Brainy she wants to actually, like, you know, she did want to train, so she did want to become Dreamer in to the full extent. So I think since Brainy knows about her powers, I assume this means that he can, like, as well as helping her actually physically fight, he can help her, like, train the way that Maeve did, and maybe like understand the dream language, so that when the time comes, she can she can actually interpret dreams properly. Because I think so far, like, her own dreams, the ones that we've had, the ones that we've seen her having in her apartment, so far, like, the majority, like, besides from the ones about her mother, the ones about her mother were much clearer. Like, she was in a different environment. She was, you know, like, she could tell who the people were and what was happening, but the interpretation, for the most part, was lost on her. But the stuff about Kara and Brainy and Menagerie is as well, like, you know, like, the first dreams we saw her having, though, like, the people were very blurred out, the voices were distorted, she didn't know what was happening. So it makes me wonder if, like, since the former Dreamer was still alive, Isabel was still alive when Nia first started getting the powers, so it makes me wonder if, like, Isabel started getting those dreams first, and then she kind of, like, transmitted it into Nia's dreams as well, into Nia's mind, because then that would mean that, you know, that would make sense that would, like, explain why they were so well projected, because it was like it wasn't maybe it wasn't the dreams that she was originally having, but it was Isabel, like, just secretly, like, transmitting them into Nia's mind, whereas when it's dreams that Nia originally has in her own mind, she doesn't understand them as much, she can't really see them as clearly, so it's like there's still a lot of detail that needs figuring out. And especially in the last couple, in the first episode that we saw her working with Kara and Brainy, like, she only figured out what the dreams had actually meant minutes or even seconds before they actually happened, because she recognized the people in them, or she recognized the environment, and especially the one with Manchester and Lockwood's wife and the hook as well. Like, she didn't really know what that meant until she was in the moment and actually had recognized the different aspects of it. So, you know, like, in that sense, Brainy can actually help her understand what the dreams mean and the dream language, and teach her that stuff. And, you know, long story short, she's going to be badass. I've said that word a lot, but it's true. She's going to be amazing as Dreamer. Can't wait to see more of her. But yeah, that was that one. Lockwood using his son for propaganda, that's just fucked up on all levels. I think the son's, what, like, in his early teens or something? At least it looks like it. Like, he can't be more than 13, maybe 14? 15 at a stretch? But I feel like he's still like 13 or 14 or something like that. But he's still a kid, and Lockwood is using his kid to kind of push his agendas onto, and used him to help bust Lockwood out of prison. Which I have no idea why the president would have allowed. But I feel like this new one, has some hidden anti-alien agendas of his own. I feel like that is the kind of that is the mystery about him. But then again, he approached Lena about using the Harrow, or at least he had Haley approaching her on his behalf about using the Harrow to supercharge the like American soldiers with the Harrow to make them stronger, or at least as strong as the aliens, to be able to beat them properly. So yeah, but that was all sorts of fucked up, and it just reminds you how, like, you know, how easily, like, kind of moldable and teachable kids are, that you can easily teach them to do the good thing, like the right thing, but people can just as easily kind of teach them the wrong thing and make it out to be the good thing. So, you know, he's teaching him all this kind of discriminatory hatred stuff and saying, you know, like, oh, you know, I'm all like, you know, like, don't worry, we're doing this to protect humans, we're doing this to protect us, and, you know, aliens are the bad ones. And then the kid teamed up with various agents of liberty, various children of liberty, and, you know, posted all those videos and stuff, and eventually Lockwood got released. So now that was just like a 1-episode thing, I assume. So now Lockwood himself will eventually be suiting up again as Agent Liberty. You know, and he wasn't really in prison for a long time, so I doubt anything actually interesting happened to him in there, that we know of anyway. So yeah, long story short, that was fucked up. But that was that, and we had this was very, very much the main kind of roller coastery kind of ride of this episode, and that was, as you can guess, Lena and James. Where do I start with this? Because I mean, where do I start with this? Like, because since the beginning of this season, people have been begging the writers to just break up Lena and James and make Supergirl real. I have been supporting Supergirl. I myself have been supporting Supergirl, and I definitely do see. I myself definitely do see stronger chemistry and a stronger kind of bond between Kara and Lena as opposed to Lena and James. Like, you know, like they went through 3 or 4 whole episodes where they were broken up, whereas, you know, and like in the middle of that, Kara offered to beat the shit out of James for Lena. Like, not in those exact terms, but still. And, you know, like, since then it's just been, I think when they were first introduced, it seemed like, you know, back in season 3, it seemed like a viable thing. Like, they were talking, they seemed to share the same goals and the same aspirations, that they wanted to help people in similar-ish ways. So it seemed like, you know what, this might work out. And then come season 4, it's just like, where is this even going anymore? Like, you know, they're like individually they are both admirable and great characters, but together it's just like they don't really seem like a good couple anymore. Because, you know, like James has very rarely been seen to be supporting Lena's options, and even with the whole DA case, he broke up with her because of that, or at least their relationship was put on hold. And then all of a sudden, after 3 episodes of like separation, they seem to be back together, and then Lena's suddenly confiding in him with all the Harrenhal stuff, which seemed like the first step. Like, obviously, with a relationship, you need honesty and trust and truth and everything, and communication. So, you know, she was confiding in him without the about the Harrenhal stuff, which off the, like, from the get-go he seemed supportive of, and he did say he would support her with it. And then at the mention of the US government's interest, and especially the US military's interest in her research, he did say that, you know, he, like, chances are he wouldn't be able to support her with that stuff. And I would say I kind of get that, because, you know, it's been like showcased many times in various like TV shows and movies and various forms of pop culture that, you know, when like, especially like in this kind of sci-fi stuff, like whenever someone comes up with like a new invention or like some research that shows something can be weaponized and used against people, the US government, and particularly the US military, is keen to kind of invest in it and to acquire the rights and the kind of like further research and advancements in such a project. So it comes as no surprise that that they wanted to actually kind of like use like they want to weaponize Lena's research with the Harrenhal, because we'd seen what it could do to the human heart, but she completely stopped at human trials after one botched experiment with Adam, and she just never went back to it again. But she did mention that she had actually been working with the Harrenhal, so we don't know if she had actually done any further experiments or if she was still working on stuff to like to test out on some other stuff, because before the human trials, like, we had only seen it working with the heart. So, you know, the one time we saw it working on a full human body, it didn't work out. It didn't go so well. So now, like the US government want to help, but like I assume they wanted to help with Lena's research to actually make it like applicable to the human body in a way that it would enhance it and make it strong enough to actually fight back against aliens, which I think there's also a hidden agenda. Now that I think about it, I think there's a hidden agenda in that, in the sense that it means that they would then have the ability to control and or fight Supergirl, because it means that, like, right now their biggest issue is that they can't control Supergirl, and I don't think, the Russians have their own Russian Kara, but, like, that's their own secret project. And we still don't know where she came out of. Like that can't be something just out of paranoia, because we saw like another version of Kara walking up to like the gates of the Russian like military base, and they've been training her and working on her ever since. But I think with the US government, they don't know about that stuff. So I think with this, there might just be, like, especially something that the president himself is hiding, and maybe something that Haley is working on that they're just keeping under wraps, that this could also be an opportunity to further control Supergirl, or actually have, like, even if it's not the entire army, like, just have, like a band, or like a group of super soldiers that could potentially match up to the powers and the skill levels of Supergirl, and if she ever does go rogue, or if there is ever something that they do that the government initiates or does that Supergirl disagrees with, then something to actually keep her at bay or to hold her back. I feel like that is without a doubt something they would pull off, because I doubt that they're like chances are that they're still not happy with the fact that Kara held back on revealing her identity, and Haley was, I think she's probably stopped now, but Haley did go the extra mile to interrogate the agents of the DEO to find out what Kara's real name was, so that she could actually control her and keep her at further bay. So now, if they can't get Supergirl on their side, maybe create superhumans that can help them fight back against Supergirl should she go rogue, or should she do something that they don't like. So that seems like a very like an ulterior motive they might have. But yeah, started on Lena and James, and then moved very, very quickly onto human super soldiers. But I mean, it's kind of on the same topic. But yeah, Lena and James. So now, but yeah, the spontaneous Paris trip, that caught me off guard, because that did not seem like something they would do. Because the entire episode, she was distraught. She was just looking very, very kind of distant and upset, and she'd been like communicating back and forth with someone, we don't know who. I feel like I do know who at this point, because it comes as no surprise that promotional images were released of John Cryer, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, who is going to be playing Lex Luthor on the TV show now. So yeah, I think we've pretty much had everyone now. We've had, like, in terms of big characters, we've had like Lois, we've had James Olsen from the get-go, we've had Superman with Tyler Hoechlin, we've had Lois popping up in the Elseworlds crossover, so now I believe Lex is the only other big character, like human enemy-wise, to actually show up on the show. And we've had various references to him, but as far as I'm aware, he is in prison, and that's been a bit like a mentioned thing in previous episodes as well. But now we are soon going to have Lex showing up on the big screen, and a couple of people have been saying that the Russians, like, Lex may be the one that they're communicating with, because we had, like, a couple of episodes ago, they were saying, like, our contact has been keeping us informed of what to do and how to approach this kind of like the Kryptonian like weapon that we have. So people said, since he knows Superman and he's battled against him before, Lex might just be the contact that they have. And especially with Lena, Lex very much took her in as a younger sister and like a sibling. There was kind of rivalry between them, but at the end of the day, like, he did take her in under his wing and stuff. So I feel like Lex might just be the one kind of pulling the strings on Lena in this episode. I don't know if he made her break up with James, like it could have done, so that then, she wouldn't have anyone else to worry about, and it would give him more time to, like, more space and time to actually kind of pull her into whatever he's working on, even if it's behind bars. But I feel like he could be the one pulling, he could have been the one pulling the strings on her this episode. But that, that trip that she pulled up, that Paris trip, out of nowhere, like, so soon after their get together again, so soon after that, it very much definitely seemed off, and now we know why. So now her working with the US was pretty much the final string for James, like thinking, you know, if you give this to the US military, there's no telling what they could do with it, even if they've told you. You know, they could have hidden agendas, and this could hurt more people than it helps. So, you know, it's not something that he could wholeheartedly support or even follow through with her. So she said, you know, if that's the case, then there's nowhere more for us to go in this relationship, and there's nothing more for them to do with each other. So he left the car, and now Lames is over. Yeah, I think Lames and Lawson were the two ship names I heard for them two, but now neither of them are living anymore. So James and Lena are officially over. So I doubt they're going to use this as a chance to actually rush into any more kind of Lena and Kara chemistry or any more of those kind of subtexts. But you know, I feel like Lena's going to be in a bit of a tight spot in the coming episodes. So Kara and Supergirl are going to have to help her out with that. So yeah, but wow, that was quite a bit to get through, but it was a fun episode, and it was a great themed episode, got a lot to enjoy. But yeah, that was Supergirl Season 4, Episode 12, titled Menagerie. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then salt and burn that like button. Comment on what you thought of the episode and what you think is coming up for Team Supergirl. And yeah, that's it. So I will see you guys next time.